This week I'm going to move on to the next theme, which is really next month's theme, but next month we'll do as of next week, which is winter scenes or winter animals, winter theme. So however you want to interpret winter, really. I think snow is always a good starting point, but you can, if there are other ideas you've got, that would be great too. I brought a couple of pictures in. So these are the ones I've done in the past. I was looking through what I got. So these are both of Hadley Castle. This one was a little bit of snow and it was just starting to melt. And this one, it was like in full pelt, as it were. So these are both ones I did a few years ago. That's not quite when we last had snow, but quite a while ago. This photo, again, I took from a slightly different angle. So I've forgotten I've taken these, but I found these on the computer when I was looking for snowy snowy photos this morning. And there are some more, various photos. Most of the ones I've taken are fairly local sort of things, and then one or two students have given me other pictures. So I haven't got a vast array of snowy scenes, but there's a few there. What I was thinking, this picture actually got a theme tonight. It's really the same scene as this. But the lighting's quite different, and I thought, well, that might be quite interesting to play around with. One of the things I think this was the photo I took when I was painting that, and as you can see, it's quite sort of muted lighting. It was very, very overcast at the time, I think. Whereas sometimes snow can look really nice when you've got like maybe a strong bit of sunlight, and quite often you'll get blues in shadows. So I thought I started to put a little bit of kind of lilac-y blue. So say if you had a blue sky, you might find that there was blue reflected in the shadows. That's something you could look for. What I thought I'd look at though is perhaps painting trees. Winter trees are quite a nice theme, that sort of twiggy look that you get when all the leaves have gone. This morning I had a quick go at a demo, and that was more of the whole scene with a little bit of tree here, but I thought I'd just perhaps concentrate on the tree bit here, really. So I'm just using acrylics today. So painting trees and branches, I quite often start off just getting the main shapes of the trunk in. So I'm mixing a darkish colour with basically all the darks in the palette, some blues and browns, maybe a little bit of red, and that'll get a nice dark tone. A bit more blue. So I can just get a main sort of trunk shapes in. So the bigger branches, let's get a couple in, and then I probably would come back to that. So it just helps me to place them. One technique you can perhaps try is, like all these little twigs, it's going to be virtually impossible to paint every little one. So one idea is to just do some sort of dry brush technique that just gives the impression of them. So with this one, you might want to try out a few different brushes. So this is like a fan brush. And I'll basically use the same colour that I had there and just add a little bit of white to it. And the idea is just to try and get, not necessarily all in the same direction, but just to get us a little bit of a impression of the texture, so that you've got some of the light showing through from underneath. So some of the lights of the snow are showing through, so it's not absolutely solid. So that could be one brush to use. In terms of trying perhaps something a little bit smaller, see how that works. Again, just vary the colour a little bit. I just made this bit a little bit bluer so that I'm not got exactly the same tone and shade. So this is a smaller brush, and I can just get in a little bit. I don't want to get too... I thought if you wanted to paint trees, winter trees, it might be good to work, a subject that hasn't got too much else in it, so that you're more just studying the trees, really. So that's working quite fairly nicely. And perhaps go back to the brownie colour, and you could try just lighten that up a little bit, see how that looks. And it's a matter of experimenting, just seeing what what works the best really. Just go a little bit lighter, that's quite nice. That's a bit too solid. So that was a brush that's on a bit of a diagonal. And the other brushes I've got are these Bristol brushes. And again, these are a little bit raggedy. It's easier if you haven't got something that's too sharp. Yeah, that I quite like, yeah. So being a slightly longer hair, it's easier to go in with a slightly softer touch. And then just add a little bit more down here. Some areas might be denser. So I'll probably do a little bit of that and then perhaps go in with some twigs. And again, it's worth trying different brushes. This is a very, very worn down brush. It's just like worn down to a stump. But it means that I can get some nice sort of twisty marks. Like maybe an old oak might have sort of twisty little twigs and branches. Like that. And again, they could be, you might want a more solid line, or you might want a slightly dry brushed line, a little bit like that. Other than that, just a nice thin brush, like either a rigger, if you've got a rigger handy, or just a nice narrow brush. And again, same sort of thing really, just some smaller twigs and branches. So that something like this one just doesn't end too suddenly, which is at the moment I probably would need. Just make that a little bit more fluid, add a tiny bit of water, just so that flow a little bit. And it's a light touch, just getting that to just about touch. So it's really sort of a bit of experimentation really. This is acrylics, you could do the same with oils, but you probably need whatever's underneath to be dry to start with. If you went in with it wet, I'll just do a little bit more here with a brush. So if I had some, some whitish snow here, perhaps, and work that in, it's more difficult to get that kind of dry brush look. It will, that's not too bad actually, that's quite nice. So yeah, perhaps you can a little bit to an extent, but you will find that it will pick up what's underneath. But in actual fact, that might be quite nice just to start with. You can always get some of that in and then let that dry and then put more over the top. So yeah, that's what encourages a bit of experimentation. Not worry too much that you've got to have a finished painting at the end of it, just try a few things out first. Okay. Any questions? All good to go. Okay, great. What I will mention is that the Essex Open exhibition is now on, and Sue's got a painting in, and I've got a painting in. So that's starting on Friday. It'll be going till February. So if you get a chance and you go to Southend, have a look at the Beecroft Gallery in Victoria Avenue. And, it's quite a nice show, quite a diverse show, all sorts of styles, different kinds of work. So a good one to have a look at. And Jeffrey and Steve won the overall prize, and Steve runs our Southend Plein Air painting group that once a week went out with. So, good show. Righty-ho.